Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the People's Choice Podcast. And I have a very special guest here. I got this man all the way from Canada. So, I love my Canadian boys, man, and this guy, he's a really great, talented, hard worker, personal trainer. I love his videos. So informative, so educational, no matter if it's trying to lose weight, gain muscle, work through injuries. And I just really can't wait to just talk with him, get to know him more, his life, his journey. And I'm not the best with introductions, but I'll let you do it. But my boy Rich right here, how you doing, man? Welcome.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm
To the show.
And thanks a lot, buddy. No, I appreciate it. It's very kind of things you said to me. And thanks for having me on, man. I know you're going to ask me a bunch of questions about myself, but first off, I want to kind of talk about you. And I want to say congratulations on your podcast because I've listened to some of your stuff before and you do a fantastic job. So anyone checking out Alvin for the first time, kind of listening because I'm the guest here, check out his stuff. I see this guy's shows. He does some great work. So make sure to check him out.
And thank you. I appreciate that, man. And I'm glad and honored to add you to the list of, the People's Choice Podcast family, man.
Thanks, buddy.
I've met some great people and interviewed some great people. And, me and you've been talking, back and forth for a while now. And, it's just finally great to make this happen, man.
For sure, buddy. Yeah, I appreciate having me on. I'm really looking forward to this interview. So again, thanks a lot, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no problem. And, what really stood out from when I first followed you was just seeing your videos and how well they're done and just how informative they are. Like, because I come from a football background and a big, workout head, especially back in my days. Not as much these days anymore. I'm kind of more chilling. I gotta get back in the gym. But where did all this, start for you? When this whole journey, your fitness journey?
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of happened by accident, if I'm going to be honest. So in high school, I actually wanted to become a cop, like going after high school. So like what I did in Canada when you're 18 years old, you got to graduate high school, and I tried to become a cop. So I did the cop test and actually failed at 18 years old. So I'm like, oh shit, okay, I need plan B here. So what we had in Canada as well, we had something called the victory lap. So I actually went back to high school for one more year, trying to figure out what I want to do, and then I kind of stumbled on fitness about 2009. I went to college for fitness and health promotion, studied there, and I got my certificates and my diploma. I never really looked back. It was definitely kind of always in the works for me though. Like even when I was younger, I was a big sports heavy background. So hockey, baseball, even a little bit of football. And so I think this kind of thing, fitness kind of tied in indirectly when I was younger, because I took a lot of those leadership skills when I was younger, kind of transitioned over to the fitness industry. And man, I love it. It's been about 13, 14 years now since I started college. So it's been a great journey for sure. A lot of ups and downs, but it's been a fun one for sure.
Oh, that is amazing, man. Just, hearing that, the backstory. And it's crazy how it all started. You said just by accident, I feel like sometimes that's the best way of, going into a career, because, you go in there with an open mind and, just like, let's see how this goes, and look how it's turned out.
And that's exactly it. Cause like my whole life, I'm like, well, not my whole life, my whole high school, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna become a cop. And I actually became in the fitness industry. I should have mentioned this as well. Like for the first couple of years, I wasn't really doing too well. I was like, I like it, but the money's not great. Tried to become a cop again when I was like 23, failed the test again. So I'm like, all right, so let's go back in. Let's give it another shot. And then, I haven't looked back the last about 10 years now.
That's awesome. What was it about being a cop that you drew you in, that you wanted that to be pretty much your first passion?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I never really understood why. I think growing up, sports, there's a lot of like leadership component, teamwork, and as a cop, I kind of see a lot of similarities there. I'm not sure if there's like a direct like link between like your direct thing that kind of says like, oh, this is why I wanted to become a cop. But yeah, it was just something like I always wanted to do for some reason when I was in high school. And yeah, I mean, never worked out twice, went over 2 in the test. So I guess here I am stuck in the fitness industry, and I'm happy kind of worked out that way. And like you said, some things actually happen better by accident, right? So it worked out well in the long run for sure.
Definitely, man. And I mean, I could relate to that 100%, because I was actually, my dream was actually to be a football coach. And
Oh, okay.
my first guest was actually one of my high school football coaches who went on and had some success. He coached in the NFL for a little bit. He coached in the CFL,
No
and I
way.
had him on twice. Oh yeah, he real good guy.
What's his
Um,
name?
Russell Stone. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Okay.
He's been coaching
I've been heard.
for many years. He sent over 300 plus kids to college, coached guys in the NFL. He was over there with Bill Cowher back in the early or mid
For
90s
days.
Steelers and stuff. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's done some amazing things, and I was just inspired by him playing for him, and then also seeing the way like he was just respected.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of coaching, but I had to get out of it, unfortunately, because just the money when starting off in coaching and
It's tough.
taking care of just my family and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
podcasting. That's I could go on about one story. It's a long story, but it kind of stumbled across me because I always used to get in trouble for talking so much in school. So
Hey, you found the perfect gig then, right? You just let out your voice. No one can tell you to shut up, basically. So you're good to go then, right?
exactly. So now
Yeah.
no one can tell me to shut up. This is my show.
Exactly. Yeah, it's your show. You can do whatever you want. You can swear. You can talk as much as you want, right?
Through that. And so,
Yeah.
what was college like for you, bro?
It was okay. Like, I got a tough experience. I know some people think of me like I'm a super smart guy and all this sort of stuff, but it was a bit of a bumpy ride. So the first semester went great, passed all my classes. Second semester, I did pretty well in the first. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go into this. It's gonna be no problem. I actually failed 4 out of my 8 classes in college, so I was gonna drop out. And I shouldn't say that's part of the reason why I did the cop test again. But I failed 4 out of my 8 classes. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, like, this sucks. And I was actually gonna drop out of college. I continued. I powered through. I would say overall it was an okay experience. I wasn't on campus. I know, as you know, some people kind of like go on dorm. They kind of go hours away. They kind of live there. So for me, my college is only about 30 minutes away in like a Toronto type area. So it was an okay experience. Again, I had some friends the first semester, but they all moved on. I decided to fail classes apparently. So I got stuck with this semester behind, and it was a little bit awkward and comfortable because they all know each other in the first 2 semesters. I'm the guy behind who failed 4 classes and just kind of joining them. But it was okay. I was happy to get it done, to be honest. I was looking forward to kind of start my fitness journey once the college was done.
And that's great, man. That's awesome that you didn't give up, for one, because I mean there's so many challenges, and especially failure is such a hard thing to swallow. But yet, you didn't give up and you just kept it going and kept it going, and look where you're at now, man.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. That's kind of part of my story. That's why, part of my story. I know I kind of relate that to the fitness industry too, where, people kind of like, they don't do well for, they try to get like a fitness goal, a fitness journey. They don't get it. And I try to relate to people like that. I'm like, hey, I was that guy. Like I failed in high school. I failed in college. I failed my cop test. Just because you failed a couple times, if you're trying to accomplish your fitness goal, keep on going. There's a solution. You just got to kind of power through it. And as long as you don't quit, you can never fail, basically.
And that's the real talk right there, man. That is great. I always ask. I got staple questions. I always ask my guests normally for like quotes and stuff. But I ask that later on. But yeah, I'm gonna say that might have been one right there, man.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. But no, I'm glad you like that. Yeah.
And I know you're a really big sports fan. And we talked a little bit off camera. You're a big Bills fan. Did you say you grew up playing sports as well?
I did. So being from Canada, of course, you're basically born playing hockey. That's like the first thing I did. Like when you're born, you get skates on up here. So when I was like 3-4 years old, basically got thrown into hockey right away. I think 4 is the first year you can play. So I played hockey my whole life, basically. Baseball as well. I was actually better at baseball. I don't like to admit that to the Americans and everyone else here, but I was probably a better baseball player than a hockey player. And a little bit of football. You're gonna laugh at this. You're gonna appreciate this as a football guy. Mm-hmm. I was like 9. I was super skinny when I was a kid. So in grade 9, which was probably 14 years old then, I was about 95 pounds. And the league that we had that I played in, it's like 90 to like 150 pounds. So the position they played me at was defensive tackle. So like I'm going, I'm like playing nose tackle, going up against these guys like 100, twice the size of me, and I got my ass like handed to me basically every single game. So I actually I quit after I think it was like 6 games in. I know I just talked about don't quit. Now, ironically, I actually quit the football season 6 games in.
It'd be like, all right, peeps, just cut that part out.
Yeah. Can we edit this right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, yeah. So I actually did quit 6 games in. I know I'm a hypocrite here, but yeah, I just couldn't take it. So I was getting my ass kicked. I was doing bad in school too, because like there's football practice every single time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the majority of the sports I did play was hockey, baseball, and then obviously some football mixed in, and then some other random things like soccer, basketball, but I was never really good at those. So kind of stuck more to the hockey, baseball sort of things. So I decided side of that spectrum there.
Awesome, man. And that's a funny story that they put you at nose tackle, and it's like, what were they thinking?
Brutal.
Like
Brutal, man.
Maybe end, like his leverage and stuff, but
yeah, little speed.
Yeah, like double teamed, like pancaked all the time.
I was getting swallowed like every single snap. Like these guys are like massive. Like I was just getting on my ass every single snap, and I'm like, man, I can't take this right now. And the reason they do that, because like a lot of these guys have played together, and that was like my first year. And what they do, they kind of toss the rookies into like the positions that no one wants to play. So like, all right, Blake Kirk, my last time, you play nose tackle, so they just kind of stuck me in there, and yeah, it wasn't a good experience, that's for sure. So
definitely, and to swing back in the fitness, because the one thing that always stuck out to me about your bio, Rich, was that you said male 30 and plus, and also that what grabbed my attention too was that you say you don't have to give up pizza, because everyone knows me, I'm a pizza lover, and and trying to do fitness and pizza is not, like, it's almost impossible, at least for me. So I want to ask, like, how did this all start for you, especially because you hear about the males 30 and over, testosterone levels is dropping and it's easier to gain the weight. So like, how did that become the focus of, what are you doing?
Yeah, because I guess for me, I'm the type of guy. It's like I'll start kind of like the pizza whiskey thing first. So I'm going to talk about the males. The pizza whiskey thing, like that's me. Like that's who I am. Like I eat pizza every Sunday. I come from an Italian background, so that's what we do. Yeah, all the carbs, right? So
all the carbs.
Exactly. So a lot of carbs going on in my family. And then so like I drink whiskey kind of like Friday, Saturday nights, pizza Sundays. So that's just kind of my journey, and I just kind of preach it to people. It's like, yeah, you don't have to give this stuff up, because I know some people, when they start a fitness journey, they think they got to give like everything up and go like 0 to 100, which is not true. Like obviously you got to give some things up, but you can't go on a complete bender and expect to lose weight. But you can still have some of those foods you enjoy and still lose fat. And like if you want, I can discuss more details. Obviously, it's something called calorie cycling. If you want to ask me that later, I can get into it. But that's kind of the nature of it. And in terms of the male 30 plus, it's more just like who I appeal to, I would say. I have clients who are female. I have clients who are in their 20s. Like I have younger people for sure. But just the way I talk, I'd say I'm a sports guy. Most males over 30, I kind of just appeal to them. They enjoy sports. They like their whiskey. They like their pizza. So it's more just kind of coming off to appealing to that crowd and the way I talk. But again, I have so many clients who aren't sports fans, who are ladies. But I just think the way that I am, it just appeals to people who are usually over 30, usually sports fans, and usually people who enjoy whiskey, enjoy pizza, and some of those foods they don't want to give up on the weekend.
I'm telling my doctor about that too. I'm like, look, I talked to my boy Rich. He's a professional. He got it. He told me I could do pizza. I don't want to hear nothing.
This smells like a lawsuit waiting to happen on my end, isn't it?
I know,
right? That's funny.
That is funny, man. Oh man, and that's so great though that that is the demographic that you attach to, and that you put that out, because I mean it really does stand out, because I remember reading it. I was just like, what? Yeah. I gotta follow this guy. What is he talking about? Because the world, and it's crazy how you said we go from 0 to 100, or basically just 0. When your doctor tells you, hey, you got to lose weight, or you're trying to lose weight, you cut off everything and try to just eat a bunch of salads, and before you know it, you're back to doing what you're doing, if not more. So let's talk about that calorie cycle that you just mentioned about.
Yeah, for sure. So this is exactly how you do it. I can give you a bit of a breakdown. For people who want to implement this strategy, this is a very generic way too. Like obviously there are more things that kind of factor in, but what you do, you get your calorie number first off. So how many calories you have per day. So you want to take your body weight in pounds, Times it roughly between 9 and 12. So times by 9, let's say if you're super sedentary, you work a desk job, you're not really moving around a lot. So let's say you weigh 200 pounds, you times by 9, that'd be your number. Let's say if you're super active, you're Michael Phelps, you're doing like a marathon or a triathlon every single day, maybe not that much, but times by 12, so a little more on the higher end, and that'd be your calories per day. But to keep it super simple, I usually tell people get your body weight in pounds times by 10, and you want to aim for about 2,000 calories a day. So that'd be number one thing. The second thing you want to get is your protein number. Very general rule of thumb. Get your protein, your body weight in pounds times by roughly 0.8 to 1. There's your protein. So 160 grams to 200 grams per day if you weigh about 200 pounds. And kind of how you factor this in now into calorie cycling, once you kind of have your calorie number, you can manipulate how many calories you have throughout the week. So people think it's like if you're over one day, under one day, all is lost, which is not true. You want to kind of think of it as like a weekly average. So let's say, for example, you got to average 2,000 calories a day times 7. That's 14,000 calories for the week. If you know you're going to have like a couple higher calorie days in the weekend, let's say, for example, on a Friday, Saturday, or maybe Saturday, Sunday if you're watching football, then you can bump up those numbers a little bit on the weekend. Let's say, for example, you want to have 3,000 calories Saturday, 3,000 calories Sunday. Obviously, a little bit of math going on there, but you take 14,000 minus 6,000, and that'd be 8,000 calories remaining. 8,000 calories remaining, you divide it by the other 5 days a week, and that's the number you try to hit for those 5 days. I think it's 1,600 calories at the top of my head. I don't want to be quoted on that, but roughly give or take. But that's kind of how you structure it. Does that kind of make sense? Like, I know it's a lot of information, but okay, does make sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. Like, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna start taking notes, really applying. I'm watching this back over and over and over.
Get it on replay, right?
Yeah. Like that is really cool. Thinking about that, because like I've been on this weight loss journey for a little bit, and just on and off, just up and down. I plateaued, and that's always a scary thing for people that's trying to lose weight or trying to gain muscle when they feel like they're just at a plateau or they're at the plateau. And I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's 100%. Yeah, so go continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember seeing a post of yours where you talked about that, where you were showing a before and after picture you like a year later, and you mentioned like plateauing and having to change up the way you work out with lighter weights and higher reps. Can you go into that, like of the the whole injury and everything that happened?
Yeah, for sure. So back in November 2021, I'll kind of backstory a little bit. So kind of like summer 2021, I had some breathing issues and I couldn't really understand what was going on. So I thought it was maybe an acid reflux when my doctor was talking. We really couldn't figure what it was. And he sent me for an ultrasound in October 2021 and for my heart. He's like, let's figure this thing out. And I was like, I wasn't even going to go, to be honest. Like, I'm at the time 31 years old. I'm a healthy guy. I'm not going to get a heart ultrasound. I'm fine. So I went, got the stuff done. The cardiologist calls me. He says I have a congenital heart condition. It's called a bicuspid aortic valve. Without getting too much of the science of it, basically I just can't lift heavy weights anymore because my blood pressure gets too high, too low. And that's kind of my backstory, because I was like a strength training guy. I do this like 6 to 8 reps, go super heavy. That was my thing for fat loss as well. But when I heard that news, he said like, okay, you can't go heavy anymore. And you got to make sure you're not exerting yourself. I'm like, okay, I got to change up the way I approach the gym. So nowadays I'm probably doing like more 10 reps, 12 reps, 15 reps. And again, before the strength training days, there's a little more ego where I'm just like trying to get the weight up and trying to bounce off the chest for like a bench press. But now it's got to be a lot more control. My blood pressure doesn't go too high, too low. So it's more just kind of like, maybe pause in the bottom, pressing back up. And it's actually a lot more beneficial that way in terms of like even like a muscle growth standpoint, because you're stressing the muscle at more length and range, which is where you get the most gains. And you're not just like wildly throwing it up. But that's kind of the backstory of why I had to go like more higher reps and like, just kind of change my training around, because I was a big strength training guy. I was trying to like lunge up to like something stupid and like in terms of weight. And my cardiologist told me, you got to stop that right now. And since November 2021, it's been a complete 180 in my training. And I feel better now too. I can breathe a lot better when I lie down. There's no issues at all. Yeah, thanks, man. But that's kind of like the backstory of the higher reps and all that sort of stuff there.
Yeah, and big shout out to you and praise, man, because hearing that,
thanks, man,
that could really like mess somebody up, like like psychologically wise, mentally wise, especially in this day and age with male depression and stuff, and yet you didn't really let that get to you. You just was like, okay, how can I change and adjust to this? So big.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. It was tough for sure. I appreciate that, buddy. It definitely had some tough moments, because like, That was my thing too. Like I was just like, that was me. I was like a strength trainer for fat loss guy. And I really kind of advertise it. That's who I am. And like all of a sudden, they just like boom, just one phone call, just like change that. It's definitely kind of shocking for sure. But you just gotta adapt to it. Like, it was probably tough the first month or two. And there's still times I'm in the gym, obviously, that I see Shaw, my brother, kind of deadlifting the over 400 pounds, and like I wish I could go back to that to kind of lift those weights. But you just have to be smart about it and adapt. But no, I really appreciate you thank my that, man. It's been a different journey for sure, but it's been going well. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, Rich. I mean, that's like I said, that's truly amazing to me, and high praises, man. Because that's for one, the heart is just something not to mess with, especially
not to mess with.
Getting news at 31. It's like, man, it's when we get older, we're probably thinking like in our 50s, 60s, 70s. That's when we're expecting news like that. But to get that at 31, it's like, oof, and then gotta know like change everything. And did you have any problems in beginning, like like they say, quote unquote, like ego lifting, even though like like the doctor said, but you're like, I know I could hit this, did you have any problem with that, or do you run into anybody that has problems with ego lifting?
Do you mean like, do I have problems personally, like when my cardiologist told me about the news, or just kind of previous before that?
Like when I told you about the news, like,
oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I probably still lift more than I should, to be honest. Like, I'm lifting weight. There's still some times where I probably push it to like maybe those extra reps or two, or I shouldn't. I know that too, but I got my stress test coming up and my ultrasound coming up in December, so I'll have a good idea to see where my heart's at. But yeah, I am kind of still trying to battle that ego lifting, I guess you could say, right now. But yeah, there's to answer your second question as well. There's definitely a lot of people who do ego lift, right? Where they think like, okay, I'm trying to achieve X amount of weight on the bar, which is okay if your goal is like powerlifting. But if you're like a typical 30, 40-year-old guy, you're trying to just lose some fat, feel better. Probably not the best idea. You get away with it for a couple years, maybe a decade, but eventually your joint's going to catch up to you. And like you said, kind of early in the podcast, I'm a very big injury prevention type of guy. And I think it's very important that people just kind of, really control the range of motion. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for power. There's a time and place where you burst up. I know you're a football guy. You understand the power, especially if you're an athlete. But yeah, as we get older, we got to be careful in terms of like how much we're lifting. If we're sacrificing form for weight, our form is going to go down, or I should say our weight's going to go down. It's going to go down the road, and we're going to be injured in the process. So yeah, I really try to preach like good form over ego for sure.
Definitely. And, that's one thing, like, even when I go to the gym and, would see, guys doing that, and, I'll just go talk to them like, hey, man, you might want to lower that weight and, make sure your back is straightened and, we get the elbows tucked, no matter, what, depending on what the workout is, then sometimes you get, people like, I know what I'm doing, or you get the, oh, thanks, man,
Yeah. It depends on the person, right? Some people take it the right way. They're like, oh, thanks, man, I appreciate that. And some people are just like piss off, right? Like I don't want anything to do with you, but good on you for that. Cause like, I think more people should be like you in the gym to do that. Cause like, there's a lot of advanced people at the gym who kind of like, you'll just kind of ignore the beginner, right? It's not to say that they have to help them out. Like they're doing their own workout. I get it, but good on you for kind of taking that next step to, helping people out. Cause that's good for sure.
Oh yeah. And I remember when I got back in the gym, and I had a funny ego lifting story because
let's hear it.
This was January. New year, new me. Always, BS. You see all these people. So I was like, man, I used to, when I was at my peak, I was like deadlifting like 500 plus. Like I was beast, man. So I was like, I want to do this again, and I got the video, but I don't know if I'm ever going to release it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to release it. I had my brother recording me, and I started like putting all this weight on, like it was like 500 something, and I'm like, man, I lifted back when I was like a senior. I could do this now, and I tried. I felt like almost every muscle just. I was like, oh god!
Were your lower back?
Lower back, and like my hamstring. Like I was like, I had to like this up, like, and I was like, drop that. It. Yeah, I ain't doing that again, man. I think I fucked up.
Were you on the shelf then? Like, were you injured for a while, or?
Oh yeah. I was done for a while. Yeah, I didn't get back to the gym till like late, like February, March, like March 14th. Actually, I think it was March 14th. I remember that.
When this happened, how many months was that then?
About a month and a half, almost 2.
So month and a half you're on the shelf. Okay, yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, in tears and everything. Like it was bad, man. So I was gonna ask you, have you ever, experienced anything like from that, from like maybe like clients that you've taken on that, said, yeah, I lift out, I lifted before, worked out, back in the day or in college or in high school, and they try to show you something, or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I would say one right now I have. If he's listening to I love him. He's in my strength program, the greatest guy. But he's the one guy I just gotta tell to like tone down a little bit, because we went a little bit heavy, got a little injury, and I try to tell him like, hey man, like we gotta back down a little bit, build our strength up. But it's just a competitive nature. And I mean, that's the thing too, because I hate telling people like don't lift heavy, because it's usually the opposite problem. Like as a coach, I got to kind of encourage people to lift more, because they're kind of scared to lift heavy. They're scared to push themselves. So it's weird in the opposite spectrum, sound like people to like, okay, man, you got to relax. Like, don't lift as much, take it easy. So like, I try to find that fine line between like, making sure he's not hurting himself, of course, but making sure he's still getting a good workout. But yeah, not too often, believe it or not. I'd say for the majority of people, I would say it's the opposite. You got to push them more. But yeah, you will get that odd client where it's just like, okay, man, you got to back down a little bit. Like, you're not 20 years old anymore, and we got to kind of relax a touch. But yeah, it's usually on the opposite of the spectrum. I'm just trying to like, push them a little bit more in terms of like getting higher weights, or a little more intensity overall.
Awesome. And I actually I posted this morning because I did an interview way back with Lorenzo. Shout out to you, bro, if you watch this. And he's a powerlifter and a personal trainer as well, and he competes and stuff. And I asked him this, and I want to know what your answer would be. Where I said, what is like the biggest myth or misleading like thing when it comes to the fitness industry or the fitness world?
Ooh, can you give me like we're talking nutrition, or we're talking fitness? Like, what are we? What do we think?
Let's start with nutrition. That's a good one. Let's start with nutrition.
Okay. I'm sure you've heard this before, but like keto diet is superior. Let's say that one, right? People claim the keto diet's like the greatest thing. And that obviously that's a pretty well-known myth right now. Like basically if your calories like are equated for, so let's say for example, it's 2,000 calories versus 2,000 calories. One person is high carb, one person is more high fat. If as long as you hit your protein targets, as long as you hit those, that calorie number, which is 2,000, for example, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you're kind of more keto or more high carb. So that's a myth. Another one as well, eating late at night. That's a pretty big one as well. People think you gain fat at night if you eat.
This is news to me. Yes.
You didn't know that?
No, I was always told like, hey, you shouldn't eat past like I think 8 or 9, or you're gonna feel like crap when you wake up. You're gonna gain a lot of weight, man. And I used to rush to try to make sure I get home and cook after work.
There you go, man. You just you're good to go then. You don't have to worry anymore, because it always back to energy balance, right? So again, stick with the calorie example. Like if it's 2,000 calories, your body doesn't know if you have 2,000 calories like in the morning, afternoon, night. But here's the thing I will say: most people who eat late at night, it's usually not the best options, right? Like, it's 10 p.m. No one's usually cooking that time. You're usually having some sort of frozen processed foods, or we're having whatever, ordering a pizza. So I will say that like usually there's worse choices people have it at nighttime. But no, if you're having like calorie for calorie, it doesn't matter either way if it's like morning, afternoon, evening. So you can rest easy, buddy. You can eat whenever you want, basically.
Woo! I feel like I just feel like I'm winning. Like I can't wait to play this for my doctor.
I get some shit in this one, aren't I?
I know, right? No, this is great news for me, man. I'm so glad awesome. We got to talk about this. Because there's a lot of like I think misleading things. I know we talk about nutrition. What do you think about burning fat? That's a big one too. Like what's one thing you think is a big myth or misleading thing in the industry or fitness industry?
Kind of talking about the gym now, like folks in the gym.
Yep, in the gym.
I'll say how many times you got to work out and / volume. So I think people think you need to be in the gym for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. You got to do like 5, 6, 7 times a week. I'm usually a less is more type of guy. So what I usually recommend to people who sign up with my program, it's usually 4 times a week, like an upper lower split the first couple months. And maybe the third month, it's more like an upper lower push pull leg split. And usually the workouts are like 45 to 55 minutes. And I think that's all you need, because after 60 minutes, our T levels, so testosterone levels, are going to go down, so they drop. And at the same time, if you're working out for an hour and a half, 2 hours, let's be honest, chances are your intensity is dropping down. So no matter how much volume you do, it's not going to matter if your intensity is low. So I like to really preach like intensity over volume. Get your ass in the gym 45, 55 minutes, work hard, get out, and that's all you basically need. So I definitely think that's a big myth in terms of burning fat. And I'll kind of throw this one in there as well. Cardio. I know people think cardio is like superior for cardio. I know a lot of people think cardio is very superior for losing fat. it can be a tool to burn fat, but it's a very short-term play because believe it or not, this is going to be a crazy stat. Maybe a lot of people don't know. Out of how many calories you burn throughout the day, though your workout only makes up 5% of it. It's about 5%. So whether you're doing like weight training, cardio, it makes up only 5% of your total daily energy expenditure. So how many calories you're burning throughout the day. What makes up the majority of it is like how much muscle you have, your age, like that's called your BMR, your metabolism. I'm sure you've heard that term before. Mm-hmm. So it's like why are we focusing our efforts on 5% of the equation where we should be focusing more on moving more, increasing our muscle mass, and something called the thermic effect of food. I won't go down the rabbit hole, but basically it means like more protein. The more protein we have, the more calories we kind of burn through the digestion process. But sorry, I went down a little rabbit hole there, but definitely cardio in terms of fat loss, to say.
This is great. Like I'm just like soaking this all in, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for my peeps to hear about this. Man. This is okay. Great, man.
Awesome. I wasn't sure if I was rambling or not. So if it's too much, just let me know. I know there's a lot of information too, so just stop me if it gets a little bit too much. So yeah, man, it's definitely a myth for sure. So don't get me wrong, cardio can be used as a tool, and I've nothing against it, but I think where people have it backwards, they think like cardio is good for fat loss, weightlifting is good for gaining muscle, of course. But again, during the fat loss phase, your number one goal should be to preserve how much muscle you have. And where we see weight regains is we drop a lot of weight at first, we lower metabolism, we usually lose a lot of muscle in the process, and then the less muscle we have, the less calories we burn at rest. And then when we start increasing our calories again, our metabolism is lower than previous, and we're just going to gain weight because we don't have as much muscle, and it just leads it down like a slippery slope. And so definitely cardio for sure in terms of the fat loss. Again, it can be used, just you don't want it as your meat potatoes per se.
Definitely. I actually talked to a guy one time in the gym, and shout out to him. His name was Trent. Got his own gym out here in North Carolina. Real cool dude. And I remember we were just talking about like same thing about like cardio. He was like, people, he said it kind of bothers him. And, he's kind of like shy. So he don't try to talk to too many people about like their fitness journey. But he said, it bothers me, Alvin, when I see like these people on these treadmills or steps for like an hour, 2 hours, hoping they're burning fat. He's like, man, you could be on there for 15 minutes and get that same result you was getting there, but you should focus that rest of that time in strength training, exactly. High intensity, work. And I was like, wow, and I would see people all the time. Yeah, they're just on there for like an hour, 45 minutes, just running before they even start lifting a weight. And you touched on that.
Yeah, and no, thank you. And that's exactly the point, because like the thing too, it's like trying to out-train a bad diet. So you can do an hour cardio, like blast. You can kick your ass in an hour in the gym. The cardio. What is that like? I know it's hard to say, about 300, 500 calories, 600 calories maybe. Yeah, so you go, yeah, something like that, give or take, right? Then you go home, you have like a meal. Let's see, like, oh, I feel good, I can cheat a little bit now. It's so easy to have like 500 calories. That's like 3 beers and like whatever it is, right? 4 beers maybe. It can happen just so fast. So it's like, if you're trying to train a bad diet, it's just almost impossible. And that's why your effort should be focusing on moving around a lot for sure, a lot of steps. I'm a big believer in steps, but like kind of going back to preserving your muscle. That way you can kind of keep your metabolism higher, and that you're not going to gain weight down the road, basically.
That's so true, man. That's so awesome. I'm so glad to have you on the show, man. We get to talk about this.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Appreciate it.
One last myth, I guess, and a misleading thing too I want to ask about is supplements. I mean, I go to the gym and talk to a bunch of my friends, because I remember back when I was, at least getting started into this world, protein powders were a big thing, and protein's definitely up there. You definitely need protein, but then you see these people with all these C4s and all these other stuff they do, and I mean, there's so many supplements now I can't even keep keep track of them. Where do you think is the biggest, myth or misleading thing about the supplements?
Yeah, supplements definitely aren't needed. If there's two I'd recommend, protein powder for sure, because I do think a lot of people don't get enough protein in their diet. So I think supplement with protein powder can be a game changer for a lot of people. Even creatine to a certain extent, I think can be good for some people. It's not magic, and kind of help, with your fast twitch fibers, quote unquote, during like your anaerobic / strength training session. So creatine and protein powder, I'm good with. The other ones, I definitely think save your money. So whether we're talking like BCAAs or like you said EAAs or L-carnitine or C4, whatever it is, you don't need it. Like unless you're like an extreme bodybuilder trying to get down to like that last % body fat before your show, you probably don't need it. If you're elite bodybuilder, listen to this, then okay, ignore that. Of course, I can talk about the supplements, but overall, I don't think supplements are needed at all. I think it's more of like a placebo thing. I think people like taking supplements because they think that they're doing the right thing, which is fine. And if you enjoy that and that makes you feel good, I'd say do it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'd say just kind of focus on protein powder, maybe creatine. Besides that, like the L-carnitine and some of the things you mentioned, you definitely don't. You definitely need, save your money on that, especially the BCAAs. If you're taking protein powder, you don't need BCAAs. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. That's going to clear up a lot of confusion, or bring a lot of hate, because there's some people that love that protein. I mean, there are supplements.
Oh, my DM box is gonna be flooded after this, isn't it? I'm gonna get like 50 hate messages, just like, what the hell are you talking about supplements? But
they're like, Rich, what are you doing, man?
You're killing me. You're killing me here, right? But yeah, it's like a personal thing. Like, if people want to take it, I'd say go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not gonna kill you. But you definitely, if you want to save your money, you definitely don't need all that stuff. That's for sure.
Definitely. And I wanted to ask you, who are some of your influences in the fitness world? A lot of people will say like Arnold or CT Fletcher. Who are some of your influences and role models?
That's a good question. Like, I never really had like a guy when I was growing up. It's like I never got into like fitness until I was like maybe like in terms of working out, maybe 17, 18, maybe 16, 17, 18 years old. If there's some guys I look up to like in the last like 10 years that I've learned a lot from, Eric Cressy, I don't know if you know who he is. He's a baseball. He's actually the Yankees strength and condition coach now. Wow. He's fantastic. He does all like biomechanics, shoulder work, stuff like that. He's great. Brad Schoenfeld, he's great in the industry. He does like muscle research, stuff like that. I'm trying to give you guys a bigger name though, because I know I'm just kind of listing like random guys here. Like these guys are like, very knowledgeable, and like these are people I learn off of. But like I'm trying to give you a big name here that would.
I know knowledgeable guys. I think of Jeff Cavalier. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I was literally just gonna say like I don't ethically next. He's got some good stuff. Like he's a little controversial for sure. Some things I disagree with. But I think overall he's good though. That's a guy. He's not in the fitness industry, but do you know Jocko, Navy SEAL?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I love him. I actually follow him. I listen to his stuff all the time.
Post the time he wakes up every day, like 4 o'clock in the morning, right on his Instagram. He's great. That's a guy I look up to as well. I would obviously he's not fitness, but he kind of inspires me to just kind of like work harder, I guess you could say, in terms of like getting my ass out of bed and just working hard. But yeah, I don't really
help me with my attitude a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly
to life.
yeah. Those Navy SEALs are a different breed. So just taking a lot from those guys, like Navy SEALs, like any guys that have like just mental toughness. I love that sort of stuff. But in terms of like one specific guy in the fitness industry, I wouldn't say I have one, just because there's so many different opinions. And like I usually like to take some opinions from this guy, maybe some from that guy, and kind of like learn off that. But yeah, if I just say like more, just kind of like the motivating type of guys like Jocko, maybe a little bit David Goggins. I know he's a little bit mainstream now.
I was going to say David Goggins. Yeah, I was going to ask you about him.
Him on the Joe Rogan podcast. Like I remember listening to that. I'm like, it sounds like a fake story. I'm like, this guy is insane. Like I can't believe how crazy he is. Like the guys like that, I just respect, and like I can listen to them all day. So guys like that, I would say I more look up to, opposed to like guys in the fitness industry, if that kind of makes sense.
Awesome, man. And I'm going to go into my staple questions I love to ask all my guests, because I just love the answers that I get. So this one is I always ask about hidden talents, because it's just funny some of the stuff I get. So what is a hidden talent that you have that your friends, family, or supporters don't know about you?
Oh, okay. Maybe my friends know a little bit about, like my good friends know about this, but not many people know. I'm actually like, I don't play often, but I'm really good at NHL, like on PS4. So like NHL 2022, 2021. I'm like top, like, again, I barely play, but I'm like top 20 in ranked and out of like 50,000 players. Like, I don't know what it is.
That's just impressive.
I don't get it, man. Like I probably play like maybe an hour on the weekends, maybe an hour and a half on board, depending. Like I don't play in the week because I'm usually working, but yeah, I'll just play like an hour and a half. And like, I don't know, man. I just crush people in NHL. So I don't know what it is. I would say that's definitely hidden talent of mine. Besides that, I don't really know. I'm not a very interesting guy. I'm trying to think of some things that
like all this knowledge you've been dropping with us, man, and stuff you've been through. You're very interesting, right?
I'm a nerd now. I used to be a lot of fun, like a lot more fun like 10 years ago. Now I'm just like, I got my routine down. I go to bed relatively early. I wake up early. It's more of like a nerd now, but back in the day, I give you better stories. Yeah, it's hard to say, man. Hidden talents. Yeah, probably just NHL. Again, not a lot of people know that about me. I'm actually really good in that. I'll circle back to it. If I can kind of think of one, I'll come back to it. But that's all I can think of for now for you.
Yeah, no problem. And I know I told you about my favorite quote that I love to ask people. What's your favorite quote that you lean on during the good times or the bad times? And you give a good one in the beginning, but do you have another one, or do you want to stick with that one?
For sure, yeah, I got a couple for sure.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's a line. I actually heard it. Have you ever seen have you seen the Navy SEAL Buds Class 234 on YouTube? Have you ever seen that series?
No, I haven't. I got to check
So
it out.
it's basically about some guys kind of like trying to become Navy SEAls, basically. And one of the quotes, like I remember the instructors are kind of like, one more. Have you seen Lone Survivor?
Yeah, I have seen Lone Survivor. I've seen
The very intro scene where the guy they're showing the Navy SEALs kind of push through. So the one quote I do love, and I always this kind of sticks with me. And I do maybe want to get this tattooed one day. It's just the way he says it. These guys are running, and you tell they have like nothing left in the tank, and he goes to them. He's like, "Whatever you got to do, find an excuse to win." So I absolutely love that quote. Like, whatever you got to do, find an excuse to win. And obviously, I'm not talking like find an excuse to win. If I'm playing LeBron James on 1-on-1. I'm not finding an excuse to beat him, right? That's not going to happen. But just like in terms of like internally, like find an excuse to win. Like whether you're tired, accomplish that task during the day. The workout, if you're not feeling it, get it done. Just find an excuse to get things done, opposed to like, because we as humans we try to find an excuse a lot of the times not to get things done. Like, oh, it's inconvenient. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm busy. Or I try to get my mindset in the opposite spectrum. Like, okay, I'm tired and busy, but find an excuse to get it done. So that one, for sure. Go against all odds. I have that tattooed to my arm. That's one I really kind of go by as well. Like, no matter what like people tell you, about you, just kind of like screw them and just kind of go against what everybody got to say and just do your own journey. And whether you're an underdog or not, just do your thing and don't let anyone tell you that you can't do anything. So those two, I'd say for sure.
Those are some good ones right there, man. And shout out
Thanks,
to
buddy.
Lone Survivor. That was a great movie. I love that movie.
Watch like five.
After you said that,
so good.
I was after you said it, now I'm like, man, I'm gonna go watch that.
you found your Saturday night plans for you, right?
I have. We get a little pizza and whiskey and some Lone Survivor.
That's it, man. That's it. Welcome to my life right now. That's what I'm talking about. That's the dream right there. That's a good movie for sure, though.
And Rich, I got just a few more questions for you, man. But thank you so much for just being on the show and just shooting away, man. I've just been blown away with all this information that you're dropping on us. So
my pleasure. Man. Thanks.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. So this one's gonna be a fun question. Like workouts. Especially being in the fitness industry as long as you've been. So, what's your favorite workout to do, and what's your least favorite workout to do?
Ooh, like exercise or like muscle group? Would you say?
Exercise.
Favorite exercise. I'm a typical meathead. I got to say arms. Like any sort of like bicep curls, I love. Like if we're talking like the meathead exercise, one arm on the bench, like a preacher curl, or just kind of like you can't go wrong with that, right?
I feel so bad for that guy. Did you see that video? The guy who tore his biceps when he was doing.
I saw the pec guy on the incline. Do you see the pec one on the incline bench?
I seen that.
That was disgusting. That was hard to watch. But any sort of biceps, you can't go wrong. If we're talking like, just regular supinated curls or incline curls, we're on the bench. Love those. Least favorite exercise. Honestly, it's very mainstream. I hate barbell squats. Like I would choose. I don't know about you. Like
I feel you. I feel you on that. And I do not know.
Oh man, yeah. I would take lunges over squats all day. Like reverse lunges. Maybe not Bulgarians. Bulgarians are pretty rear foot elevated. Those are kind of miserable. But like barbell squats. Do you know a thruster, like a squat and press?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
those are miserable. And any sort of squat version,
I don't like good mornings either. I used to do those all the time back in like when I was in school. Oh,
you know what? I've never, out of all years in my fitness industry, I've never taught a good morning or done a good morning. So really? I know the movements, erectors, like hamstrings. You're not a fan of them?
Not really. I think because I've always struggled with back problems, and even though if you do it right and you have a correct form, it shouldn't hurt your back. But I don't know. I always felt uncomfortable between that and my dumb ass used to just put the weight heavy as hell when I do nose breakers. Between that, it's like, like it just getting like, oh shit, oh god, I got some gym fails for you, man.
I was gonna say, man, you got to send me some videos here. It sounds like you got some good, you got like a compilation going on here.
Oh yeah,
get you viral on social media.
Definitely.
Yeah, those good mornings are rough, man. Like I prefer just doing, if I'm doing the hamstrings, I prefer like a stiff like deadlift, something like that, where you have like the leg, the load more in front of you. Because like, yeah, to your point, I just find them like weird. It's on your back and you got to like, it's a pure hip hinge, right? You're trying to keep your knees straight. So it's an awkward move for sure, I find. So I'm definitely agree with you on that one.
Definitely. Thank you, man. That was good. I always love asking that. If I have any guys from fitness, because most of the time I get the bench press is like everyone's favorite. Seems like
Yeah, all the guys like bench press, right? Bench press
yeah,
arms, where
bench press.
the ladies are like more hip thrust. Like you talk to her ladies, more like hip thrust deadlifts. I find this is not all the guys, but the ladies generally kind of gravitate towards more lower body, and the guys are kind of like more bench press, arms, kind of like the fun stuff, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mine's between good mornings or just pure sprints, like wind sprints.
You know
Sometimes I'm
experience?
just, oh man, I was never that good at it, and like it's crazy. Like I always worked on endurance, like especially when I was playing football and stuff.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, like sprints could just kill me. Like when
Yeah.
we used to coach used to make us run a mile, man, and by
Oh.
the end of it, I was like beyond sucking wind.
Oh,
Like,
I was gonna say you're probably traumatized. You're playing football because I know football is like a lot of sprints, right? So it's like
yeah,
you probably got hammered some hot practices. You probably just got getting crushed, right?
almost passed out a couple times, and then I also I did wrestling for a little bit too, and
Okay.
just all the running. And I mean, we used to run. I think they got away from that, but we used to run with trash bags and stuff around the track all the
Trying
time.
trying to lose the weight,
Yeah,
right?
trying to lose the weight, man. So it's like running is just
Yeah.
not up there for me.
I hear you, man. For me, it's more jogging. Like I don't mind sprinting, but jogging. Oh, like someone tells me to run for like 20 or even 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm pissed off. Like I'm not doing it. So, yeah, running in general, I'd agree with you. It's not very fun. So,
Not at all.
yeah.
And just a couple more questions. Where can all my peeps and new audience find you on social media and all your social media platform? Make sure to put in the video in the description so they can follow you through your journey.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. Most like I do a Facebook and I do like I guess technically I have a LinkedIn. I never use it, but probably Instagram's the best bet. That's usually where I post my content consistently. So you guys can find me there, Rich. So RICH Bykirk BYKERK Fit. So Rich Bykirk Fit. And yeah, I'm pretty active on there. I'm on there probably more than I should. So yeah, if you guys ever want to check me out there, ask me any questions and anything, feel free to DM me. I'm definitely more than happy to help you out with anything.
Definitely. And I definitely will make sure it's in there for you guys to hit up Rich anytime. And he's a real cool dude. He get right back to you pretty quick too. Trust me, I know.
I'm on there too often. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but
Hey, it's a
yeah.
good thing. I love your videos, man. It's so much information you put up there to really
Thanks,
help
buddy.
out people, especially if you're no matter if you're a beginner or someone who thinks they know it all, and they'll see some of your videos, and be like, oh wait,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's trying to find that hybrid sometimes, exactly. Like, making beginner videos and like, but also at the same time, like trying to talk about stuff that people may not know about. But it's like, oh, see, how do you try to work in this stuff where I'm not like using these big fancy anatomy terms. So yeah, I try to find that bridge for sure in terms of like beginner type of stuff, but also like kind of a little more advanced stuff for sure. So trying to find that bridge is a little bit tough sometimes.
Definitely, you do a great job at it, man. And
Thanks, buddy.
just one last question. That I
Here.
love to hit on is gratitude, especially with the way the world has been these last 2 years, or well, then my world's been fucking crazy
Yeah.
this year. That's why I rock the heartbreak chain because I've been through a lot of heartbreaks, but I call them the
Oh
heartbreak
man.
warriors. We go through this and keep it going strong. But
That's right, man.
gratitude, definitely, man. Like gratitude's just been keeping me grounded, and I love to ask this. So, what are three things that you're grateful for in your life right now?
Grateful for my life. Number one for sure, I'd say my health. So like, it hits you even harder too. I find you kind of find you have like a condition. It's like, okay, like before you almost like take it for granted, right? I'm like, I could just go to the gym, work out, every day, lift heavy. But yeah, I'm grateful that like I'm still able to work. I'm still able to work out, even though I do have this I'd say minor condition. So I feel blessed that I'm still able to do everything that I still love, even though it's not exactly what I want. I want to push more. So definitely that. My friends for sure. My friends have been a big part of my life. So since like I've basically been the best friends with these guys since like 6, 8 years old. So it's pretty crazy. We're this same group as elementary school. So yeah, these guys are a big influence in my life for sure. And definitely my family. So especially my parents, obviously Sean, who's my brother. He owns a gym here actually. And this is kind of how I would say I really got taken off in the fitness industry. Again, I was like an average trainer. I kind of did the bare minimum. But if you're working with Sean, I started working back in 2015. If you're working with Sean, you got to set you got to kind of raise your game and kind of get your expectations a little bit higher. And I feel like ever since I started working with him, it's been a completely different ball game. So I'm definitely thankful for him. And I wouldn't know where I'd be if I wasn't for him, to be honest. Because like I said, he's been a big like role model influence on my life. So yeah, definitely my health, my friends, my family. grateful for all that, and I wouldn't be here today without any of that, so, for sure. So that's a good question.
Definitely. That was a great answer, man. For real. And yeah,
Thanks,
nothing
buddy.
about your family, man, and health as well. Because
Exactly,
let's both hit
exactly,
home because
man.
it's been crazy this year, man. Just last, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we wrap up, or always just being there for you, supporting you?
Yeah, just kind of like I said, my friends for sure. Like all my boys, you know who you are. I don't have to list you off. You guys know who you are if you're listening. Sean for sure. Big shout out to him. Obviously, he's a big part of my life, and kind of like again, like I talked about, just kind of really setting the bar high, and I always try to achieve higher when you're kind of working around him. And yeah, and I don't know if I would say my family, but probably not going to listen to it. To be honest, my parents are in their mid 60s. They're not really good at technology, but I'll kind of keep it to my main friends. And even all the boot campers too. Like we have a boot camp atmosphere here that I work at. So all the boot campers are listening here. You guys have been a great parts of my life as well. So I want to shout out all of you, and definitely want to give thank you for all the support you guys have given me over the last about 7 years now. So yeah, thanks for letting me get that opportunity to say that.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you again for being a part of the People's Choice podcast family and, telling your story, your background. And it's real inspirational. Like, I can't wait to start making reels for this and putting it up here for everybody. So
Yeah, thanks.
no problem.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you, Rich, man. Thank you for
Thanks a
being a
lot,
part
man.
of the show.
Really appreciate everybody. You do a great job on your end. And once the release comes, I'll make sure that people kind of come your way because you do a great job what you do. And not obviously just with me, but I've seen some other contents. And keep up the good work, man. Keep up the dream on your end. You do a fantastic job. So keep it rolling.
Thank you, brother. I will definitely, man. And Rich, you have a great day, man. And, continue to kill it. And I'll be definitely watching on Instagram. And hopefully all my peeps will follow along too, man.
Thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate it, Alvin. Have yourself a great weekend, man.
You too, brother.
Take care, buddy.
Later.